Let's be honest. Have you ever been just endlessly swiping through what feels like a digital catalog of faces, just hoping for a spark of real connection? Well, today we're going to dive into a new dating app called Zocialized, and it's making a huge claim that it can re-engineer the very way we connect. So let's see if it can actually pull it off. But before we get into their solution, let's just talk about the problem for a second. I mean, does modern online dating just feel, I don't know, broken to you? If you've ever felt that thumb-numbing fatigue from swiping, or the sting of a great chat that just fizzles out, or that constant pressure to be this perfect, polished version of yourself, you're not alone. It's exactly those pain points that have created a huge opening for something new, something like Socialize. So what's really at the heart of the issue? The way Socialize sees it, it's the whole design of swipe-based dating. The entire system, right? It's built for snap judgments. It reduces these complex, amazing human beings down to a single photo and a clever little bio. And the thing is, these pain points, they don't just exist on their own. They create this vicious cycle. The pressure to look perfect leads to profiles that aren't really us. The massive number of choices leads to swipe fatigue and total burnout. And all this is happening on platforms where, let's be real, our personal data and safety can sometimes feel like an afterthought. Okay, so how is Socialized going to break this cycle? Well, its first big move is this radical commitment to authenticity. And this isn't just some marketing buzzword. They've apparently woven it right into the code, into the user experience, from the very second you sign up. So, the first tool in their arsenal against all that superficial stuff? Mandatory profile prompts. And listen, that word, mandatory, it's the whole key. Unlike other apps where you can just throw up a few vacation photos and a witty one-liner, Zocialized actually makes you stop, think, and put in a little effort before you can even get started. So the way this works is pretty straightforward, but really effective. It's designed to be a filter, right from the get-go. By making you answer these thoughtful questions about your values, goals, and how you communicate, the app is deliberately weeding out anyone who's just looking for a casual, low-effort swipe. The idea is to build a community of people who are genuinely invested in finding a real connection. This comparison chart really lays it all out, doesn't it? While traditional apps are basically built like a hot or not game, Zocialized is designed to make you pause and actually consider the person behind the profile. It's a fundamental shift away from snap judgments and toward, personality and values. But Zocialized doesn't just stop with the prompts. To push for an even deeper level of authenticity, they've introduced this really interesting feature called vulnerability badges. It's a super clever way of using game mechanics to actually reward you for being open, for being honest, and, well, for being human. So, how do you get one of these? Well, you have to participate in activities that encourage you to genuinely share. This could mean completing some deeply personal prompts or joining what they call truth circles, which are basically these moderated small group video chats on specific, often vulnerable topics. The whole point is to create a culture where being emotionally honest isn't just valued. It's something you can visibly show off on your profile. Okay, but all this talk about vulnerability and openness, it brings up a huge, super important question. What about privacy? And that brings us to the second pillar of Zocialized design, putting your safety and control over your data first. You ever wanted to share a personal story or maybe a goofy photo with a match, but you really didn't want it on your public profile for everyone to see? Socialized has a solution for that, and it's called Intimate Circles. Think of it like creating a private, invite-only digital room for you and your most trusted connections. The whole process is about building trust, step by step. I mean, it's just like how we operate in real life, right? You share more personal stuff with your close friends than you do with some random acquaintance. This feature gives you total control over who gets to see your more vulnerable side, creating a safer space to let a connection actually grow. Now, this next part is really cool, meeting up in person. Instead of that kind of creepy dot on a map that a lot of apps use, Zocialized developed this augmented reality tool it calls location control with context. It's a seriously clever fix for a common safety issue. Once both of you agree to meet up and you opt in, your phone's camera just shows a simple icon pointing you in the general direction of your match. No precise GPS coordinates are ever shared. It turns finding each other in a crowded place into a fun little game without the risk. And what about the chats themselves? To take some of the pressure off of saying the perfect thing, Zocialized makes disappearing messages the default setting. Just like on Snapchat or Instagram, your messages and photos are designed to just vanish after they've been seen. And the thinking here is pretty simple. It's about creating a space for a real, spontaneous conversation. By getting rid of the permanent record, Socialized is encouraging you to just be yourself, be witty, be a little dorky, be real, without that nagging fear that every single word is going to be saved, screenshotted, and overanalyzed forever. So we've got authenticity by design and privacy as a priority, but Socialized isn't done yet. They've added another layer of connection that goes way beyond just text and photos and taps into something way more primal, the sound of a human voice. What if an app couldn't just read your profile but could actually hear your personality? That is the wild idea behind Zocialized voice profile feature. Every single user has to record a short audio clip, and then an AI analyzes it, looking at things like your pitch, your pacing, your tone, to add a whole new dimension to the matching process. Now, this voice data does two really important things. First, the AI analysis helps the algorithm find better matches for you, based on vocal cues we might not even consciously notice. And second, it lets you send voice memos in your chats, which gives you a much richer, more personal sense of someone's personality long before you ever meet up. So, when you put it all together, the mandatory prompts, the vulnerability badges, all those innovative privacy tools, and this deep integration of voice analysis, you get a very, very different kind of dating app. But does all of this engineering really add up to the future of human connection? It's for sure a bold attempt to redesign online dating from the ground up. By building the app on these three core pillars, authenticity by design, privacy as a top priority, and a big push for deeper communication, Zocialized is making a very clear bet that they can engineer a better way for us to find each other. But the vision for Zocialized doesn't stop with your phone. The source material hints at a future where our digital and physical lives become even more tangled up. They're already talking about smartwatch integration and VR dates. But then, there's something else on their long-term roadmap. Something that takes connection to a whole new level, a ZID chip implant. And that right there brings us to our final, and maybe the most important question. As this technology keeps weaving itself more and more intimately into our lives and our relationships, how much of ourselves are we truly willing to sink for the promise of finding that perfect connection?